Yeah, as a leadership coach with a focus in communication, I find that most of my clients really are looking for one solid answer. How do I influence other people? Maybe it's influence them to be a part of a global project. Maybe it's influence them to buy this new product. Maybe it's influence them to donate money to a cause. Maybe it's influence them to do a better job on their job, or to be a better student in the classroom, or to be a better manager of the people that they oversee. But it's really about, how do I have a better impact, influence of the people around me? The answer is really simple. It really is. Now, the process to be competent and capable of providing this solution, that's a little different, because it not only takes discipline, but it takes a serious attitude shift. I'm firmly convinced, from the research that I've done, from the study that I do constantly, from the relationships that I've had, and from what everybody else who's an expert in the matter says, leadership and influence are interchangeable. I like that idea. The question is, how do you lead, or how do you influence? And I find that the words that you speak to an individual determine the level of influence that you have in their life. But what sits behind the words that you choose, because we've all had someone say something to our face that sounds so wonderful and flowery, and yet you know the heart behind it is sarcasm, or the heart behind it is not pure at all. There's really no genuine intent to engage you in a loving or hopeful manner. In fact, what they're saying really is nothing more than manipulation. So how do we get the words that we say to influence someone with the power of authenticity behind it? And that's the hard work, because that means, in order for us to speak into someone else's life in a way that lifts them up, that encourages them, that adds value to them, that makes their day better, we have to change the attitude that we have toward them. Now, attitude, again, is thought plus feeling equals attitude. Your mind, will, and emotions are three elements. Your thought and your emotions are two of the three. The third one is your will. You have to choose. You have to decide how you think about that other person, and how you're going to feel about those thoughts. If you think that person is beneath you, the odds that you're going to speak words to them that encourage them, build them up, and add value to them, pretty slim. If you feel angry, upset, stressed out, depressed, the odds that the words that come through that filter to someone else will be encouraging, add value, lift them up, are pretty slim. If you can't think toward them great thoughts and feel about them a sense of passion and emotion and goodness, then whatever words you slide through that filter, whatever comes out of your mouth toward them, or comes out of your hand as you write to them, or out of your thumbs as you type to them, whatever those words are, they will be filtered by the thoughts you have toward them and the feelings you have about them, the attitude that you have toward them. If you can't change your attitude about them or toward them, then changing your words will be of little effect. It is the most powerful opportunity that you have to influence another person. The words that you choose to speak to them, filtered through the things that you think about them and the way you feel about them. When all of those things come together, you have the ability to stack praise upon praise upon praise upon praise upon praise. But if your first praise is hollow, well, I really like your hair today. If that's not authentic and valuable, if it's rooted in sarcasm or comparison, then that phrase alone will not allow any other phrase to stand on top of it. You've already been seen as vain and demeaning. Your attitude toward them must be congruent and support the words that you say to them. You can't just choose random things to say and hope you're going to have an impact. Now, think about it for a moment how we are so, as human beings, we are so slow to accept praise and yet so fast to accept criticism. I mean, a random stranger could say to you, "Did you mean to wear a green shirt with red pants today?" And it will haunt you the rest of the day. You might even go home and change clothes at lunchtime. The criticism is so deep and so sharp that most of us, most human beings, accept that criticism with wide open arms. It's almost like we expect to be wounded. We want someone to speak negatively into our life. We don't really desire it. We've just become so accustomed to it. It's easier to receive as truth than a compliment. Ask yourself the question, how do I receive compliments? Is my attitude toward anyone who gives me a compliment, well, thank you for noticing, it's about time? Do you have the arrogance to say or even to think that you deserved that compliment? Or are you gracious enough to think, wow, someone went out of their way to say something kind to me? That's not natural. That takes a lot of effort. They had to change the way they think and feel about me to say such kind words to me. I should be appreciative. I should be grateful. I should be lifted up. I should feel better about myself today because they went out of their way. They sacrificed their own thoughts of themselves in order to make me feel better, to put me in the spotlight for a moment, to lift me up on a pedestal, even just for a moment. And see, we're reaching such a tension in our culture, especially in workplaces, that for someone of the opposite sex to compliment you it's dangerous. It could be construed as sexual harassment or something in that nature. To say, "I really like your dress," might be misunderstood to say, "I like the way you fill out your dress. I like the way you fit in your dress. I like the way that your body looks in that dress," when that wasn't intended at all. I like the colors. I like the fabric. I like the way that it doesn't have shoulder pads or it has the bell shape at the bottom. I think that's cool in the way it's designed, and none of that will be transferred. Because it's almost like we're looking for the negative and we're looking to be offended and we're looking for an opportunity to make something out of nothing, to create a lawsuit, to create media attention, to anything other than say, "Thank you." Because that's the proper response to a compliment. "Thank you. I'm glad you noticed. It makes me feel good to know that you noticed. Thank you." That really is all that needs to be said at the backside of a compliment. Thank you. Sometimes, though, we find ourselves justifying it. "I love your dress." "Oh, this old thing? Yeah, I got it at Goodwill. It really wasn't much." Or the other direction. "Yeah, my husband or girlfriend or friend bought this for me and it was a lot of money. I would have never spent that much money on it, but I'm glad that they did and I'm glad that you like it." No, the proper answer is thank you. Just thank you. It's amazing how just a few words from the cashier at the fast food place, the barista at Starbucks, the teller at the bank can change your day and send it off course so quickly. Now, we, as the receivers of such simple influence, need to learn to take all criticism with a grain of salt. Consider the source. Do they have any input of value to what's going on in your world to actually say those things? As an example, I do a little bit of graphic design. I am not a pro. I am maybe an amateur, maybe an advanced amateur. But from time to time, I'm asked to help with the presentation that's going to go up on the screen. And there are some basic design rules about font sizes and positioning and the type of letters that you use and the type of colors that go together and where you position things on the screen in relationship to other things on the screen. And some of those rules I'm getting pretty good at. And I do study other people who have great design. But from time to time, I come across someone who the greatest design they've ever done is in PowerPoint and with clip art, and it looks like it was done by a grade school person. And that's not to be critical of the individual, just of the final outcome. And then I have to understand that they're more in the category of the person who showed up on X Factor or American Idol and they really can't sing at all. I mean, not at all. But nobody's ever bothered to tell them that. And now they're designing PowerPoint slides that I'm supposed to put up on the screen. And if I put them up on the screen, everybody's going to presume I designed them. And they look like a kindergartner did them. And when I make corrections, they come back to me and say, no. Put that back the way I had it. I had it right. What you've done isn't what I want. Okay. See, I would consider that an unqualified opinion. Now, I do have friends who are not only professional graphic designers, but that's their job to train people in graphic design. And those people are really good at what they do. And when they say to me that font size is too big, or it shouldn't have a serif, or you should probably move that down and to the right a little bit and create more white space. I may not like the look of what they've come up with, but the ideas and the rules of design are pretty significant. If I'm doing a job in leadership or management and a leadership or management expert says to me, I wouldn't communicate that quite that way. I take great value in those words, and that criticism, while I won't allow it to sting, I will take it to heart and try to make adjustments based on it. There are other people who would speak into my life to say, yeah, I wouldn't do it like that. And I think, you probably wouldn't. And that's what makes us different. That's why you do what you do and I do what I do. I wouldn't criticize the woman who cuts my hair because all I do is grow it, and not all of it, just some of it. I don't have the grounds to tell her how to do my hair differently, but when she's done and I give her a tip and I say, nice job, thank you. That's the way it ought to be. So let me ask you this question, and this is the question I want you to stay with all day today. As you encounter other people, can you think of a compliment for them to just lift them up a little bit? To give them just a little bit of praise in their day, to say, wow, you've done a really good job, or I appreciate the way you do that. You appear to be a great mom. You're such a good dad. Thank you for being a great husband or wife or spouse or sibling or whatever. But even to random strangers, can you think of something that you're qualified to express that would lift someone else up and make their day better? Because you have the power of influence in your tongue. Change your thoughts about them just a little bit. Change your attitude toward them just a little bit. And add a few kind words to their life. And you will begin to exhibit influence in a way like you've never imagined. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.